but I was kind of at odds with my coach. I mean, his personality wasn't really that likable, and a lot of people on the team didn't like him. I mean, part of me was convinced, like, just hang it up right there. But there were some upperclassmen who convinced me otherwise.
So the secret is having good people around you?
Yes, secret's having like a good teammate, having a good team. Then there's secret's also having a passionate coach, and we'll talk about that later because that coach wasn't there the next year.
All right, so we're ready to go. Hello, anyone who tunes in. I'm Joshua Royland, a strength and conditioning specialist and owner of Sweatshirt Fitness. Our guest today is Chad Mayer, a graduate from the prestigious Manhattan College. He was a cross-country runner and track and field athlete in both high school and college. Today we will be discussing your college athletic experience and your recommendations for young athletes overcoming adversity. How are you doing today, Chad?
I'm doing good. Yourself, Josh?
I'm doing pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
My goal is basically to discuss your challenges, motivations, and how you got through hard times. What is like the basic goal is to find out the secret to how you've gotten through all of your challenges, how you managed to get into the running zone so often and for such a long period of time, because you ran for longer than I did.
I did, I believe. You started running earlier than me, but then you stopped after senior year of high school. I started, I think, sophomore year of high school and then went all the way through college.
You definitely had more serious of a career.
Yes.
I did, because you went all the way through college. You had scholarships. My goal here would be to discover what's your biggest struggle that you had during your athletic career.
Well, there are two instances where I feel like I struggled immensely. The first one had to have been when I just started at Manhattan College. I was a freshman. So I was recruited under a coach that I didn't know that well, but he saw a lot in me, and he was trying to make me a good runner. And going into my freshman year cross country, I got hurt. I had bad pain in my feet, and it carried over into my winter track season. So I was redshirted for both the cross country and winter track season. And
That's
then,
just freshman year that you were redshirted for?
yes, but then spring track I was not. I made a comeback, and spring track I was finally running. But I was kind of at odds with my coach. I mean, his personality wasn't really that likable, and a lot of people on the team didn't like him. I mean, part of me was convinced, like, just hang it up right there. But there were some upperclassmen who convinced me otherwise.
So the secret is having good people around you?
Yes, secret's having like a good teammate, having a good team. Then there's secret's also having a passionate coach, and we'll talk about that later because that coach wasn't there the next year.
Okay, so that's interesting.
Yes.
It's about having good people around you, not about going it on your own. Did you ever have a time where you felt like you were going it on your own and you had to deal with something tough mentally? And then what were the tricks to get?
Oh yes, that was it basically freshman year. And like my injury, because I didn't feel my coach was there for me. Like he was just making some jokes like when I got hurt. And like that really put me down, thinking like, is this right for me? And then I just talked to some seniors, and then I was able to just,
He made jokes when you got hurt? What did you injure, and how did he make jokes about
so like I always had this pain in my leg. I think it was like a few months into it, and I was like talking to him, and he's like, I better take like a gun, like shoot you like an old horse. Just flabbergasted. I just laugh along, and then I emailed him later and told him like, hey, that really hurt. Like I really like need like the motivation now to try and get through this injury, and you're not helping me.
That seems...
He didn't apologize. He more just keep your head up, and I go, all right.
Well,
he was fired then over the summer.
Wow.
That was over summer 2016, and then came my new coach, which bless her, she was amazing.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. So your new coach was the one who was really able to pull you back into it in the mentality of running. I know that, and this is your career is pretty much then 2 times you pulled yourself together, because you initially were like a Group C runner, and then you pulled yourself all the way up to Group A.
Let me correct you, Josh. Group D.
So just to let everyone know, we had a ranking system of A, B, C, and D on our high school cross country team and track team. And basically, it allowed people of similar abilities to run and compete with each other during their workouts. So you tried very hard when you were in Group D. What allowed you to dig so much deeper to so quickly advance to Group A, varsity, and then surpass someone like me who I had been varsity my entire career.
it was looking at the people around me, and I always felt like I could do something more of like sports. I didn't feel like I was doing like going to my full potential or like taking advice from people, because I started taking advice from you back in what year was that now? It was so long ago. That was sophomore year in spring track. I took advice from you. I took advice from our coach.
Well, Conroy
And
was such a great coach.
yes, he was. Yeah.
So my big question is, what I don't even remember any of the advice I gave you.
You basically trained me. You like we did workouts. I'd follow along what you do, and then go to where my workout with you.
Oh, okay. And
Yes.
and the funny thing is, back then, none of us really knew what we were doing. We'd go in, do 1,000 sit-ups, and do some bench.
Yeah, but
It
you've
was
been working out since middle school.
Well, again, that's it's kind of this innate, but also now that I have the education, and now that you've gone through college running programs, you realize how much more there is to training, and the rehab from your foot injury has to be something that has given you some insight into the process. So what sort of exercises, how did you end up handling that, other than the people around you, the actual physical like nature? Were you
Okay.
doing like physical therapy or?
Yeah, I was doing physical therapy. I had a different trainer in college every year. It was never one the same. Like I forgot the first one was, but yeah, she basically like brought me through, like tried all these different things like to help rehab my foot. But then I changed my shoes. I did like a lot of time running on grass surface, because if the striking on like asphalt and concrete it causes a bit more pain to the feet than
It'll just beat you up.
it will. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
I also spent a lot of time also in elliptical, because
Elliptical.
because that time you aren't striking the ground. You're pretty much just moving with the pedal.
Okay.
Mhm.
So what? Just elliptical, barefoot, I assume, on the
On the
grass.
Oh no, you can run with shoes on the grass. It's still a soft cushion.
So
Yeah.
did you go down to a minimalist shoe? Were you put into a maximalist shoe to cushion
No, I was
your
put into a
injury?
shoe of different arch, because they also figured the arch be the problem.
Okay.
Like I think it was on like a stability arch, and then went to a neutral. I forgot what the two arches were.
Was it like an orthotic, or was it more of just a change in general shoe?
It was more of a change of general shoe, I remember.
Okay, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't have any change in your racing spikes or anything like that?
No, I never really paid attention to racing spikes, to be honest, because those are things you only use like just a few times and then
Yeah.
they're gone.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's definitely interesting that the racing spikes had not much to do with it, because there were some workouts we would do in high school with our racing spikes on.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they're not as much of a focus in college is very interesting to me. So you mostly would have run with kind of medium cushion shoes,
I would, yes.
and that again, everybody has different strategies, but I guess my strategy was always minimalist and barefoot running to
Yep.
the best of my ability. You know.
I know.
You know Johnny and some of the other guys on the team. We're all minimalist guys, but you had a very successful career in a medium cushion shoe. Do you know what the heel toe drop on that was?
No, I do not know that.
But it definitely wasn't a zero drop. It was probably a standard drop, something like 8 to 14 millimeters.
It had to have been, I believe.
Okay, so definitely something more standard. Well, that a lot of people do really good job with those shoes, and it just shows that so much of this dichotomy in the running community might not be that much of an issue performance-wise, depending upon the person.
Yeah.
So let's just see, what was the transition like? So you got through your selection process, and it was by dealing with a coach you didn't really know, and you were a little overwhelmed, but it was the traveling to Manhattan that you found out about their program. But that transition, how did summer training, orientation, becoming a leader in the team, what does that all look like for you?
I mean, first off, the transition was very stressful.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like looking for the college wasn't stressful at all, because I pretty much had my sights set in Manhattan. Because I mean, we always did like the yearly meet there at Van Cortlandt Park, and then I knew about the engineering school. I wanted to be an engineer, and I knew they had D1 running program, so I mean, be a good match.
Okay.
Yeah, and then after graduate from Whitman, then I started getting like the emails for all like the training I had to do, and it's very stressful doing it on your own, because you aren't doing it with anybody. You're doing what somebody never met before is telling you to do, and then you're going to meet people you never met before, and that's like the big scary part, like when you're moving in. But then when you move in and you meet like all these new people, it's so much easier, and you make And the bonds are made a lot fast because this time, like, you're living with your teammates. It's not
Okay.
like you're just going home at the end of the day. Like, no, you're staying there the next 4 years.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting because I never really had that experience. I did participate in club running, and it's totally different. And
It is.
my experience with that was nice, but it's definitely not that sort of team bonding that you would get from obviously the real D1 team experience. And I have to say I'm a little bit jealous, but also I do know that I would not have been able to do that. I had a very tough time in college.
It's a very big commitment as well. Basically, when you're not doing schoolwork, you're there on the track.
Yeah. So in high school, we had a great coach. His running program was very the same.
Yeah.
Progressive, time working. So it was pretty much you'd have an interval day, you'd have a threshold day, and you'd have long run days, and that'd be pretty much it.
Yeah.
So we would have fast long runs. We'd have some hills for sprints. We'd have intervals of various lengths. And usually it would start out with longer length intervals, short rest, and then working our way down into shorter intervals with longer rest.
Yeah.
If I'm correct in my memory. And then there's
That is
always
correct.
the threshold where you had the 1,000 meters with 1 minute rest, and then you consistently worked your way down in time to an overall 5K of intervals with that minimal kind of 1 minute rest. What does the training look like on that college end, especially in that elite D1 athlete level? Is it more complex? Is it something
It
similar?
is definitely more complex because unlike in high school and college, 3 days a week, you're going to be running twice a day.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to wake up in the morning. That's when you do your initial workout. Or is there a way around? You do like your initial like early morning run, maybe like 30 minutes, shower, go to your classes, and then in the afternoon, then you're doing your workout.
Okay. So the big question would be, what would the workouts look like? Because it's 100% there are intervals, 100% there's
Yes.
still going to be long runs, there's still going to be those different categories. But what would one standard week of training look like, let's say early in the season?
Okay, so this was like a while ago. So we're starting on Monday. I believe that's just that's like a basic interval workout.
Yeah.
If we're talking from the cross country perspective, yeah, you're doing intervals like a certain like course of the track we do in Van Cortlandt Park.
Okay.
Yes. Then Tuesday, I believe that's just a standard run.
Van Cortlandt Park is
Yeah.
pretty flat from what I remember.
It is. It was flat, but also hilly at the same time. Depends where you go.
Well, in relation to what a cross country could be,
Yes.
relatively. Every time you have a cross country trail, there's going to be hills by the nature of it. So you would basically do intervals on the actual course that you'd run.
Yes, we would. Yeah, we go to like a certain segment. I don't know if you're aware like how hilly the back section is, like behind trying to put perspective, like north of the Sawmill Parkway in Van Cortlandt Park.
I
if you
know
want to picture
exactly
it.
what you're talking about.
Yes,
because when you'd start, you'd end up crossing over, and then you'd end up in that back.
Yes, we would do intervals out of that. Maybe about like five intervals and try and like cut down on time on each interval.
Okay. So it'd kind of be like a descending interval where it's just like slow and increase your pace.
Yeah, and that's either Monday or Tuesday. Then the other day would be maybe a 1 hour run. Wednesday would be considered the rest day, or the day you cross train. So you go on the elliptical, you go on the treadmill, you bike, you can do whatever you want that day. That's the easiest day of the week.
Okay.
Thursday is definitely like a workout day. I think that's the threshold day.
Okay.
If you want to put it, we're usually on the track for maybe one of the days for cross country.
So
if I recall.
thresholds, you would be doing thousands still?
No. You'd be doing like a set distance. Same.
So it would be the same all through the whole season?
Yes.
More, but probably longer distance because of the longer race. So maybe like 2,000 meters rather than 1,000 because you're doing the 10K rather than the 5K.
Yeah, I believe so. We usually, we don't even use a track actually. We use like the asphalt circle around like the parade grounds of Van Cortlandt.
Okay,
the
yeah,
big
I know
grass
what you're
area.
talking about, yeah.
Yes, I know that's usually one of the common workouts in the week.
Okay, so basically you would say that the structure would start off with intervals Monday, Tuesday.
Intervals like Monday, Thursday.
Monday, Thursday.
Yeah.
Tuesday looks like...
Tuesday is just a standard day. You run for about an hour.
Okay, so long run.
But you have to run a certain pace, though. You can't be running 7-minute pace.
No, yeah, you have to be running quickly. And the pace throughout the season would get quicker on the long run days?
It would, yes. Like Coach Gallagher always have us cut down, like get to around 6:30, 6:20 pace.
Yeah, so basically you'd start off your season at, an hour at 6:30, then an hour at 6:20, then an hour at 6:10
Yeah.
as the season goes on. So what is let's go mid-season. Mid-season is just a faster version of early season, or is it a
Yeah.
little bit different?
No, it's more of a faster version.
Okay, and you're probably cutting down on some of the cross training where you're in the weight room.
Well, yeah, cross training would go up to maybe there would be a goal for how many minutes should be cross training. Like usually half an hour. It would go up to 45 minutes at that point.
Okay, so you're actually increasing volume throughout the season. So then, what would peaking look like tapering for your final portions of the season? I know that takes.
There'll be a few days of rest after like a big meet. Like you would rest and then start training up to the next.
Total rest or slow runs?
Total rest runs be a little slower.
Okay, so basically
Once we get towards like max and IC4As and regionals.
Okay, so what's an IC4A? I'm not familiar
Okay,
with
so Manhattan's located in the Metropolitan Athletic Conference. It's MAAC. So that's like a primary conference. So then after that, we have after like that meet's done, we have this thing called regionals, which is basically a whole Northeast region. So so cross country, it's like this big 10K race we do.
Okay.
And then after that is like the IC4A conference. Like that's the men's conference. I forgot like what section that is, but it's the men run IC4As, and then the women's is called ECACs.
Okay.
That's pretty much the final race of the year. Most of the time.
And then if there's nationals or
Yeah, if you make it.
okay, did you or any of your teammates make nationals at any point?
No.
Okay, so you obviously went to regionals and did very, very well, but there are always those teams that are just ridiculous.
Yeah. In cross country, I mean, everyone runs IC4As. In track and field, you have to qualify. I've qualified 3 times for IC4As in between winter and spring track and field.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. So you were a pretty prolific athlete while maintaining the capability to become an engineer. And what did your mental health look like? Because I know that not just me, I've struggled with that, and I know the techniques I've used, breathing and meditation, but like I want to get into your head because I know that there's times when you've struggled, as a friend, and music was very big for you.
Yeah.
How did you get through the times that were the hardest?
All right. Well, I think then we got to fast forward now to senior year and talk about probably the hardest time.
Okay, let's get through the end.
Like it's supposed to be the nicest year for me, but my foot injury came back my senior year. But it was in a different spot. It was in my back right heel.
Okay.
I was basically developing a Haglund's deformity.
You're developing what?
Like a Haglund's deformity. It's
okay.
Like I think Greg could talk about that later. I don't know if he knows.
We can actually go a little deeper into that. We're recording another podcast later tonight, so we'll go into what that is then. So
actually, my first injury of the season was in cross country. After having one good race, I basically pulled my piriformis muscle, which is by your glutes. I was limping. I should have been like in like the wheel or the scooter going around campus. I know I can't blame my coach and like everyone like other management on team like pushing me hard. I mean, I was in a tough spot.
My big question was that: do you think that was a lack of stretching? Do you think that was a overtraining?
I believe it was overtraining and lack of stretching. I believe it was a combination of both.
Have you ever had any neurological issues with your legs where you get tingling or numbness or anything that related to that?
I mean, not on a common occurrence. Sometimes that happens, but not like much where to say I think it's a medical problem.
Okay, so since that's not much of a problem, that brings me into the piriformis. Did you get piriformis syndrome? Was it a tear? What was it?
It was just really tight. It had to be released.
Okay.
Like every so often.
Did you do self myofascial release, or was that more like there's got to be a secret to get through to that?
The trainer performed the release.
The trainer did. Okay.
Yes.
So you
used the elbow and he got pressed down to piriformis and then.
Yeah, Greg's done that for me a couple times, and I feel so much better because I actually get neurological stuff down my legs, and he's helped me a couple times with that. So that's really big. But I'm sorry.
Yeah, but that's what pretty much was silent me most of my cross country season. I mean, then I came back around the end. I mean, it didn't run too well. The season ended a little early there.
Yeah.
And I really don't want to get into why, but.
Okay, you don't have to get into why on anything you don't want to. So that's more about however comfortable you are talking about anything given. So. The injuries now, as a far after the fact, is anything kind of lagging in effect on your legs, on your performance. What does that look like
You mean
years
like
down the line?
right now how I'm feeling?
I'm talking like now and after the fact. Does it come and go, or is it completely better?
It does come and go. Sometimes I feel a little bit of pain in my feet. I haven't felt it in a long time.
That's not
I mean the piriformis. I haven't felt that like ever since.
Okay,
Like
that's
that's been a lot better. I mean my feet
Yeah.
though, on the other hand, because we haven't got to that part. Sorry, I moved on a little bit by accident.
Yeah, no. Just let's talk. Like
Okay,
this
so
is your time. We've kind of gone through a lot of the recovery.
So on to winter track, and actually Alice got flashback to junior year because this issue also arose in junior year, but didn't bother me as much as senior year.
So junior year of college.
Yeah, junior year, spring track and field. This is basically when I reached my peak.
Okay.
I reached a 30-minute flat goal on the 10K.
Ooh,
Which
that's a couple minutes faster than my 10K.
That was actually a 1-minute PR.
Jeez.
Yeah, and I've never run that. I would never run that fast again. I mean, I tried my best to get back up to that level, but it took a lot of effort and
That's 3 minutes better than my best 10K.
Yeah, and the help of my teammates. I mean, I had a really good teammate around that time frame.
Yeah.
Sadly, like his career ended a little earlier than mine did, and that also got me a little upset because like I want him to run with me, but he couldn't. I mean, he did his best to motivate me and stuff, but I just didn't.
Was that injuries as well?
No, that was another matter which I'm not going to discuss.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, he did his best to motivate me and help me out. But I mean, I was really torn because he wasn't there.
Yeah, that's always tough when you lose someone who's one of your big motivators and someone who means a lot to you.
Yeah, he's doing good. I still talk to him today. He's doing great.
Well, I'm more talking about in the season when you're losing that sort of connection.
I would bounce back and try I made the IC4 raise that year because of a 30-minute 10K.
Nice.
But by that point, I was actually really exhausted from overtraining, and I had to take a rest.
Was it common on your Manhattan College team to have overtrained individuals?
Yes. There's a lot of people I remember who always had numerous injuries.
I wonder why, with the access to so many trainers, with the access to so many coaches, where does the programming go wrong when you have a D1 school, elite? You can track every variable. How did they mess up so bad?
I think it's because they don't realize when their athletes need rest. They know how good they are, and they don't want to see them sidelined for the rest of the season, rest of the year, because when you're in the boot or when you're put into the boot or in the cast, that's it. You're pretty much done for the rest of the year. They don't want to see that.
Well, my biggest question then is why not just keep your athletes because I was talking to Brandon about injuries in boxing, and that's mostly hands. Yeah. And his response was, the secret is keep the volume at a level that the person can handle.
Yeah.
Work your way up slowly. It seems that this wasn't done. It seems that they took very good runners who had been handled by very good high school coaches and then throw them into this huge volume program where you are getting a program from someone you don't even know. Then you meet everybody, you meet the coach, maybe you like the coach, maybe you don't like the coach, which is neither here nor there. But then you're in this high volume program, everybody starts getting injured. Not everybody, but a lot of people start getting injured. I'm missing out on why wasn't that individual care given to you? Why wasn't, hey, maybe you can't do Tuesday's workout. We pull that out. We're going to mess around with things because I know when I'm training clients,
they did that a bit. They did a little bit with me when I was getting hurt.
Do you think that helped at all, or?
I don't think it did because I was still getting hurt. To backtrack on the discussion for junior year was when I started having problems with my right heel.
Okay.
It didn't bother me as much then. But after I was on the piriformis injury, cross country season, we went on winter track, my heel injury came back and it was much worse. It was bursitis in the back of the heel, caused by pretty much a Haglund's deformity.
Okay.
I did a lot of stretching, a lot of icing on it, tried rolling the cross ball on my feet, but it took my whole winter track season. I was out again. And then spring track. Now around this time, it's going with personal stuff. Also for school and everything, and basically, I was pretty much a mess. I had to talk with a lot of people. There's a lot of good people in college who helped me get through that last semester. And I tried my hardest to try to get back some kind of potential for spring track, but unfortunately, I just couldn't seem to get out of my injury. So At the end, I told my coach, "Hey, I think I'm done." And my last race basically was I just paced the last race like ever did. I only like helped like my teammates make sure they could get like the goal they needed to under final meet.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
it's good that you went out with that last race as you participating actively for the teammates that you needed to.
Yeah, because
And
I tried running a full 10K like one of those meets in spring track, and I was just in pain the whole time.
yeah.
And the trainer the doctor that we have that comes like to the school wanted to put me in the boot. The coach didn't want me to because it was my last year. I can't blame her for wanting to do that because she was right. That was all I had left.
So, what was the sort of protocol for getting through a race? Did they tape up your feet? What did
They
you do?
did. They did try putting sleeves like maybe on my foot, and I mean make sure I'm iced like before I actually go on, or to get heated up before I go. You heat first and then you ice. That's the process. But I mean, it still didn't stop the pain that kept coming. I mean, I ran on soft surfaces again because back freshman year that helped. I mean, it helped me a little bit, but I was still getting a lot of pain.
So basically, the taping was not really taping; it was more just sleeves going through on your ankle
Yes.
and around.
Yeah.
Okay. And that went those sleeves would go underneath your spine.
And also those I think that Dr. Scholl's like heel lifts.
Yeah.
Little heel lifts underneath my feet, underneath my shoes too.
So
To see maybe a change in the arch could also help.
they would do Dr. Scholl's inside of your spikes.
No, not inside my spikes.
Oh,
inside my
okay.
trainers or in practices. No, you can't do that.
Okay, I was gonna say
No.
I was gonna say that's a little bit questionable there. I would still think like Dr. Scholl's. That's
I believe that's what it was. It was like a gel. It was like a gel cushion that goes underneath the heel. Or maybe I'm getting the name messed up. I forgot. It was a while ago.
I just wonder if barefoot running wouldn't have helped you, or
It probably might not have. I mean, I regularly most of my time to elliptical like my senior year.
well, I mean, as in to strengthen the tissues, starting with slow barefoot running and increasing the speed at which you could move in the barefoot cadence. It allows you to move with better foot posture and practice running how you would need to run in spikes. Like from what I remember, you were a pretty heavy heel striker. Am I correct?
I was, yes. That also probably contributed to why I had the issues later on.
So they at that point didn't want to change your running mechanics because you're in college and they want to just improve your times within whatever you have already.
Yes.
Okay. That's one of the issues that I have is there's a couple different things. And do you think the secret to decreasing college injuries is teaching proper running mechanics early on or teaching proper running mechanics in college?
I believe it's teaching proper running mechanics early on. I mean, like right when you get to college, if you ever get the chance. Also think it's also proper stretching and training. I feel like I'm not a good example of like proper stretching and training in my early days, but
I would agree, at least from what I saw in high school.
yes.
You were very tight runner, and I can't say I was a ton better, but I do know that I very, very much worked on my running mechanics. Even though I ran a little stiff, I was a wrestler, so that kind of stiffened up the way I ran. I focused very much on my running mechanics, not quite as much as John or Jacob.
Mm-hmm.
They were deep into the running mechanics.
They were very
all the time.
technical.
Yeah, they were very technical runners. So, both you and I weren't ever perfectly technical runners, but I really did focus on proper foot and leg mechanics. I have absolutely no lagging injuries in my ankles, feet, or knees.
I try my best to do that, but I just can never figure it out, if I'm being honest with you.
It's tough.
I'm always told okay, work on your striking. And that was in college because they're trying to figure out my striking and give me a proper shoe. Because college also takes care of my trainers. And I always had a hard time trying to figure out how I should properly strike.
So they didn't really give you any other advice? Did they take video of you at any point?
They did.
They did? Did they point out what you should be doing? I take video of clients who are general population clients who are learning to run, moms and stuff. So I would assume that a college would go really in depth with you, sit down and go, hey, look, you're getting injured. we need to figure this out. We need to reassess and potentially recoup, even if it's a full season.
They
you can
did.
get more time. So
Actually, one thing they found was when I was running was that my right foot, like my right foot doesn't strike like my left foot does. My right foot is actually like the right side of it actually hits more to ground than the left side of the foot. Like it's like curved a little bit.
yeah, I have my
Yeah.
right foot typically will land like this a little bit more.
I don't know if that's because like a deformity or maybe it's just how naturally I am, but it could have to do with also my heel pain.
It might be you avoiding some of the heel pain, and I think that possibly, at least what I would have done as my education as a strength and conditioning specialist, now that I'm in the field, what I would do, and I'm dealing with athletes right now, wrestlers, but I would deal with runners as well. I would have just taken you out of general training with the team, or at least minimized you down to 2 days a week, completely focused on running mechanics, gotten you on an air runner, aqua jogging, and working on mechanics with minimalist shoes and barefoot running. I would have very much focused on increasing the strength of the tissues in your feet. One of the biggest things that I've learned from one of my mentors is if you can keep someone's pain below a level 4 during all of their workouts, typically during the times that they need to perform, they won't exceed like a level 5 or 6. And that's manageable. If you're sitting there and you're grinding through all of your races at like a level 7 or 8 or even 9 pain, which is what I seem to hear like you were struggling through, every race at a level 7 pain minimum, maybe 8 or 9, where you're just hurting the whole race.
No.
You probably could have gotten through it if you were at level 5 or 6. It's like, oh man, this is sore, but I can get through it because this is my career. This is my running. Mm-hmm. But that's where I would very much go. And I try to keep people at a 2 or a 3, not even at that 4 level. Right. And you just slowly ramp up. It would have been a pull way back. You would have been doing a lot of striders and just completely changed everything about your program. I would have completely individually trained your specific programming very differently. We would have been in the weight room for the 2-a-days. We would have been in the weight room for one of those.
Right.
I think that it's possible you were mishandled, and
I believe so too. But I mean, I can't really blame them for doing that.
Well, they're trying to maximize their team, but if they want to maximize their team, they should be handling their athletes differently. And this is the big part of what I think the field should go into is, again, handle runners earlier. So maybe the colleges get involved with the high schools they're looking to recruit from, talk to the coaches there and say, hey, we're looking for this. Give us this, and we're going to be recruiting from your school. And also, once people get into their school, if the mechanics are off, you've got a runner who's ingrained in running. They want to run. They'll relearn mechanics if you give them the proper tools, if you give them the individual programming. I think that the secret is individual programming, and it doesn't mean you don't get to work out with your team. It just means that you're not all running at the same time.
Right.
Does that make sense? So you might be doing striders, your other teammate might be doing intervals along this portion, but you're all doing something different to handle your individual issues, and then maybe on the long runs you all run together.
Yeah.
So would you think that would be more towards, and then the healthy runners can all run together on the same training program, but do you think that would bring more people back into the fold and maybe make a stronger team?
I believe so, because there's always, like, everyone always has their way of doing things, or like or their bodies basically, they want them to have do things a certain way. I feel like it was handled a little differently in a senior year. Maybe the year went a little better.
So what do you think that you would have preferred to be done? This is your health.
Well, first off, cross country, I think I should have had a little more time to build up towards what the goal was for the paces of a races.
Okay.
Yeah, because we always have certain set goal pace to make in cross country, each mile, how we're supposed to run it. And I mean, I'm at a disadvantage when I'm working out at home because I have no one else to work with. Some guys have teammates who are close by them.
Okay.
They run with. Me, I was pretty much all alone.
That's rough.
Yeah, and I feel like I needed like maybe a little more time in the fall, like when I got to college, like just to get ready and get myself built up towards like the pace that my coach wanted me to run.
So one of the big things that I would say is, if you feel like slower is better, increasing that sort of. So your recommendation for new runners that are heading into college, how do they advocate for themselves to avoid those sorts of injuries and things that you ended up dealing with?
Well, I recommend. Well, first off, like once you get your college email address, you start communicating with your coach. Like they're gonna give you a schedule to work off of. Be sure to follow that schedule. I didn't actually when I first got it. I think that's very important. It's also important each week to communicate with your coach and let them know like how exactly how workouts are going, like what the results are like of your intervals, or what pace you're running your long runs. Be honest with them, like how you feel, like any pain in your bodies. They could tell you just tone it down, or like give you instructions, or I don't know, if you're close to campus and like trainers could help you, go see them. Like also just don't be scared, like as well, like when you're going in, I know you're gonna be like with a bunch of new people you never met before. I mean, me personally, like I had no idea who any of these guys were I was gonna be living with the next year. But like what happened was we all had each other's emails, we introduced ourselves, and we got each other's cell numbers to start texting. So that like softened things up a bit. Then we finally met each other orientation, and then like when we all started living together, like in a big 10-man dorm.
That's got to be a little rowdy.
Those don't exist anymore in Manhattan. They used to have them, now they're gone.
Why don't they?
So what happened was they took like 2 4-man dorms, add like one person each, and made that whole tent, and like put a door in front. They got rid of that.
That sounds like debauchery city.
Yeah.
So what were some of the you guys had to have pranks go around?
Yes.
What were some of the things? Okay, I got to hear this. Because I know some of the stuff we did, but I don't know what.
Well, we didn't do anything too crazy. It was like much of the partying and much shenanigans we did during partying. That was, and that's another important thing as well. Like once you become an older upperclassman and you're looking over like the new guys that are coming in, you gotta make sure you make the right decisions as well. Like when they're going out. I mean, I'm not gonna say much else because they're not really supposed to be going out,
Well,
but let's be honest, they all go out.
Everybody goes out.
Yeah,
making good, responsible decisions so you can come back the next day. Let's go a little bit into high school. What do you remember from Laconda? That was
the first year was great. Oh my god. I remember there was a lot of baby powder.
Oh man. That was a whole load of. Whew.
I remember stealing the DVD player from like the big living room at the cabin we were in and bringing it to a TV in the back.
Oh man, I remember we flipped all the girls' beds over.
No, that was the year before I went.
Oh, that was the year
I wasn't there for that. You told me the stories of all that.
Oh, that was good.
No, you flipped all the girls' beds, and then you used the girls to clean up all the floor from all that.
Yeah. So, well, the thing is, John and I were posting up all the time back in high school. Posting up.
We did a lot of sleeping during the week when we were there.
Because we were running so many miles during that week that it just you have to sleep.
Yeah, and the Hills East coach was like, nope, you aren't gonna be sleeping. Get up, come on, let's do some stuff, guys. Like, you just want us to go out there and have some fun during the days. Like, but coach,
we just ran like so many miles, and then we're gonna run in the evening. And so one of the biggest things that I remember this you know Arjun. So
I actually wasn't there for this, but
I know.
Yeah.
But you know him.
Yeah.
Ripped six-pack, like laser etched six-pack.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not a very solid runner, solid Group B guy, and he had this expensive shampoo.
Oh no!
It was an expensive shampoo.
Oh my god! I know where this is going.
And all the girls, we had a huge bag of trail mix.
Oh,
wonderfully mixed. I made 2 pounds of trail mix.
You used that shampoo on the ground?
They used that shampoo.
Oh.
They used other shampoos. They.
Oh, that's right. They did it.
Yeah, the girls did it.
They did it, and you had to clean it up.
The girls squirted the shampoos all over the ground. Arjun's like $45 shampoo. They took Arjun's $45 shampoo all over the ground, completely gone. All of our other shampoos and conditioners and body washes, and they took our trail mix that I had made, 2 pounds of trail mix.
They dumped it all on the ground,
Dumped
yes.
it all on the ground, mixed it in with the shampoos, conditioners, and body washes. And then basically we're asleep, we wake up, we see girls passing by, and then we kind of fall asleep. And then I wake up and I'm like, girls aren't meant to be in here.
Wait.
Look, we jump up. They didn't know we were in the sleeping bags because we just pulled the sleeping bags over our head and we were just like out. So we just jump up. They scream. Okay, so let's summarize. College athletics. Advocate for yourself. Advocate. Make sure that you properly increase the volume. So it's all volume control. From there, you want to focus on taking care of your mental health, taking care of your decision making. Did you meditate? How did you handle any of that sort of stuff coming up?
I didn't meditate. It was honestly more just goofing off, like in my apartment, just playing Call of Duty.
So basically, you just kind of lose yourself in video games for a little bit. Just
Yes,
chill.
and do your homework. you got to remember to do that. It's very important in engineering school.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a very good important thing. Recovering properly is stretching. Just getting that out there.
Yes, absolutely.
What's the most important stretch you had for your piriformis injuries?
The most important stretch had to be taking, Ryan called it the Playboys. The one where you just like, take your foot, you just like fold it over like this, and then you turn that way. I remember that being a good one to get some stretch going.
You get a nice deep stretch there.
Yes.
I like the figure fours, but the Playboys are good. Okay, so that's a decent one for there. You would say heat before you go on a race, just kind of get a nice warm blood flow to the area so you're able to perform without hurting yourself.
Oh yes, always remember to warm up before your races. Good about 10 minutes, just like doing a nice jog, maybe about an 8-minute pace, like just go.
Basically, it's all the traditional advice, but just making sure you implement it consistently.
Yeah.
And making sure that you pay attention to your body. Okay. Well, Chad, I really appreciate you coming on. Been a wonderful time. Stay happy, healthy, and safe, everybody. Good night.
Thank you.